Welcome to Cake Bites, where we go rapid fire with this week's rule breaker. Fast questions, real answers, zero corporate polish. I'm your host, Elizabeth Bieniek. Let's dig in. We are here for Cake Bites with Andrew Horn. Andrew, are you ready?
Ready. Let's do this.
All right. My first question for you today. What do you know now about how business works that you wish you'd known sooner?
I was on a podcast recently and the host asked me a question that gave me pause. He said, "What do all of the best leaders you know have in common?" And I'm really fortunate that I get to work with many of the best leaders I know. And I have some really good friends who lead big companies that are really exceptional. And so I thought about it for a second, and then it became abundantly clear that all of the best leaders and entrepreneurs I know are simply doing what they want to be doing. And that may sound so simple on the surface, but it's much deeper when you look into it, which is the people who are the most exceptional in their field are the people who are obsessed with with what they're doing, whether that's building rockets, whether that's social media virality, whether it is biochemistry and re-engineering the food system. To find and be in search of the thing that intrinsically motivates you, that you are naturally lit up by, that you love learning about, to surround yourself in that thing and immerse yourself in it is where you will be exceptional, because it's where you will find the sustainable source of energy to be great, to overcome challenges, to continue to learn, to continue to grow. And so I would say that it's this idea that doesn't mean that it comes without challenge or hardship, but that looking for the thing where you just naturally have the draw or the interest to really hold on to that and honor it, because it's incredibly valuable asset for driving ourselves towards sustainable success.
Power behind loving what you do and doing what you love.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, my next question. What do you do regularly outside of the office that you think makes you better inside the office?
I am a big fan of relationship rituals. And what I mean by that is, I think that, and there's a lot of research to back this up, but healthy relationships are the secret to a healthy and happy life. And business is beautiful and we can make massive contributions in the world, but the real juice of life is in our relationships. And the way that I really honor those relationships while also giving myself fully to several growing businesses is by systemizing where I'm finding time for the relationships that are most important. And so in my social sphere, I have a men's group. I sit with 12 guys every other week for 2.5 to 3 hours, and we're going deep and talking about things that are very real. And on our off weeks, we're checking in with each other. And I just know that I have this space that's built in for me to connect with the friends that are most important. I have a curriculum on how to create this as well, but it's that I have that with them. And no matter what happens, I know that I'm going to be connected to this foundational community of people that I love. And then in my romantic relationship, I also have rituals that I like to keep to, which is every week we have a check-in. It's 6 questions that I ask my partner just to make sure that we're going deep and understanding where people are at on a deeper level, so that we know what's exciting in their life. We know what's challenging. We know if there's anything that I'm doing that's upsetting you in the relationship. Again, this is all things that I've kind of templated it out if anyone's curious, but those rituals that I have in my relationships are one of the things that I do that allow me to be really present at work, is because I know explicitly that I'm showing up in those relationships in ways that are really meaningful and generative for them.
Love that. Ritual and routine. It's so important. As you're talking, I just realized my husband and I have a morning ritual. We have coffee on our front porch, rain or shine. Doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it goes 5 hours, depending if we have the time in the day. But that's the way we start our day every day.
Totally.
It's so important. Yeah.
And quick distinction there. It's my friend Priya Parker says there's an important distinction between ritual and routine. She says routine are the things that we do consistently, but a ritual is something that we do consistently with intention. And so it's this idea that I make coffee for my wife, Melissa, every single morning. So that might just be a routine. But now there's a spiritual teacher who talks about the first two things he does every day. He puts food in his dog's bowl, so that the first thing he does is he's of service to a non-human being. And the second thing he does is an act of service for the woman he loves. And he thinks about that consciously, so that the first thing he
Mm,
does every single day. So that's the intention of like where it's coming from, and knowing that is what transforms it into a ritual versus a routine. So,
yes.
but yeah,
Love it.
I love that.
Love it. All right. What do you tell or remind yourself after you've had a setback?
I remind myself that the vast majority of suffering that I experience is just a product of my mind versus reality.
Mm,
And one of the most helpful ways that I've discovered to evaluate where I am the source of my own suffering is this incredible tool called the drama triangle. And so, are you familiar with
love
the
the
drama
name. No, I'm not familiar,
triangle?
but I love the name.
Yeah, the drama triangle is this incredible tool which helps people to notice where they're putting themselves into these reactive spaces of there's a villain, and who's basically like, I'm saying someone else is the problem here.
Yeah.
I'm a victim who's saying, complaining about what's happening and saying that we don't have any power to change the thing, or rescuing, right? Which is doing things for other people rather than addressing the issue. And almost always, when I'm in a space where I'm experiencing something hard, I'm typically in one of these spaces, which is I'm criticizing someone, I'm complaining, or I am doing something for someone that I don't really want to do.
Hmm.
And so I just notice, like, I have a relationship with someone recently who is going through a really challenging period, and I got kind of down on it. And I just noticed, like, the stories that I was telling myself was like, oh, this is going to be really hard and it's challenging. And it's okay to be in the sadness of like something being hard. But I also just notice where my mind is coming in to place additional stories and context about how difficult it's going to be, and things in the future that I can't yet know. And
Yeah.
so anytime I've had a major setback, I come back into the present and allow myself to feel what's real about, like, hey, things can suck and be challenging, but also notice the quality of mind and how it wants to project out into the future, which just
Mm,
makes things worse oftentimes and keep us in a cycle of drama that is becomes more and more optional the more aware we are of our thoughts and what they're doing.
yeah. Yeah. Where do you get your inspiration from? Do you have a favorite quote?
Where do I get my inspiration from everywhere. Fortunately, I think everything is pretty dang inspiring, and the fact that we're alive at all is inspiring, truly. But one of my most consistent sources of inspiration is a quote, and I keep this book from Raina Maria Rilke on my book stand. It's a book called Letters to a Young Poet, but he has this quote, and it's more of a passage, but he says, "I would beg you, dear sir, as well as I can, to have patience with everything unresolved in your heart, and to try to love the questions themselves as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign tongue. Don't search for the answers which could not be given to you now, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. So live the questions now. Perhaps then someday, far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer." And so for me, what that is a reminder of is that the point is like there's not a destination here. That like so much of the point is to just be curious and to understand and to explore. That we don't need to have it figured out, but that so much of the quality of our life just comes down to the questions that we're asking about who we are, what matters, what is reality. And when we just give ourselves to those questions, um, that's where really we unlock a lot of the fullness that life has to offer.
Mm, I have a question about sustainable success. You have a lot of things going on your plate. How do you pace yourself or find your balance?
Yeah. How do I pace myself and find my balance? I think that for me, the way that I find balance is honestly been by creating a more cohesive and constructive relationship with my inner world. and I'll make that even more tangible, is with my emotions. Is that I think that one of the skills that is going to become increasingly important in an automated world with artificial intelligence is our capacity to regulate our own nervous system and really
Mhm.
connect with the truth of what's going on for us and come back into a regulated state. And so often, what happens for entrepreneurs is you're naturally putting yourself into very complex, high pressure, high responsibility positions. And so there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of stress. And a lot of times when we go into those deep, challenging emotional spaces, the automatic antidote to ease those is to work nonstop. And if the only antidote or ease that we have constructed for ourselves to alleviate heightened, challenging emotions is more work, then we
Mhm.
constantly put ourselves into this context where the only way that I can feel good is when I'm working all the time, always on. And the way that I find a lot of balance is by allowing myself to develop tools and spaces where I can really feel through the totality of my emotions and make sure that where I'm coming from is not coming from a dirty fuel, fear, stress place, because that will and fear are powerful motivators, right? There are a lot of
Yeah.
highly successful people that have done great things in the world from that place. But also, those people oftentimes sacrifice a lot of things that are really meaningful for them along the way, or they get to where they thought they wanted to go and they just don't feel the way that they wanted to, and they don't feel fully known, and they don't have the relationships they want. And so,
Yeah.
so much of that I think starts with just allowing ourselves to develop a more conscious relationship with our emotions, being able to regulate our nervous system in healthy ways that aren't just working all the time.
Yes. Yes. And also, that leads me to my last question, which is very important as well. What is your favorite kind of cake to celebrate?
My favorite kind of cake. I have a little bit of embarrassment about it because I judge it as a little kid cake, but there is this nostalgic spot in me that still loves a nice vanilla frosting funfetti cake.
You
Something about
cannot
it.
go wrong with the funfetti.
I still love, my 9-year-old son loves a funfetti cake. I love a funfetti cake. We all win. We get the same thing. So that would be my favorite.
Love it.
I'm a
Love
9-year-old at heart still.
it. Enjoying funfetti cake with Andrew Horn. Thank you so much, Andrew, for being here for Cake Poets.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining another Cake on Tuesday celebration of beautiful disruption. Please share it, review it, and find more innovative stories at podcast.cakeontuesday.com. I'm Elizabeth Bienik. Be bold, stay curious. Now go have some cake.